All right. Well, we've got some people on. Some more people will be filing in here shortly, but thanks for everyone joining us today. Appreciate you guys always showing up on Thursdays to get some good info. We're trying to bring you some more good info today for QuickBooks. Get some questions answered today. Again, my name's Ryan Dosen, Director of Sales here. We're going to probably have some other team members hop on here as well to field questions as normal. Again, remember, if you guys have questions, feel free to type them into the chat. We'll probably have other team members on that are able to answer some questions while I'm going through everything. Quick thing, I'm a little under the weather today, and it's going to be a shorter webinar anyway. Probably going to wind up letting you guys out of here a little bit early, but wanted to still show up and deliver value to you all. Before we get into QuickBooks, again, here at Host, as we say every week, your success as independent agents, that's our number one priority here. Committed to giving you guys a ton of value here, trying to give you information value and things that can help you win more deals out in the field every week. You've got 24/7 tech support, personal relationship managers that know your business, streamline merchant approvals, get your clients up and running fast, doing everything we can to help you in your get your day-to-day successes in. With Host, you've got access to a pretty unmatched selection of payment technologies, everything ranging from Valor, Deja Vu, Clover, Ingenico, Swipe Simple. Ton of gateways. We did a deep dive on the gateways last time. We've done some deep dives on the Cloud Manager Suite, which is still very popular. A lot of you have taken advantage of that and the promotion that we have there, where we're helping people run their business, providing them software. We've been providing it for free, so a lot of you have taken advantage of that. Thank you for doing that. Thank you for supporting the software. And so today we'll go ahead and hop in, and we're going to get into a few things that you may want to know about QuickBooks integrations, because we know that's a question that comes up a lot. All right, so let me share my screen here. All right. So again, what we're here for today, QuickBooks integrations that everybody needs to know. Obviously, a lot of businesses keep their books on QuickBooks, and it makes it a lot easier if there's some sort of integration that can have the payment technology talking to the QuickBooks software so that things can get reconciled and mistakes are not made and we're able to save time. So if you guys have a lot of questions about that, your merchants do too. We want to help clear some fog today. Again, just covered the purpose. And again, the goal here is we want you guys to win more business out there. We want you to be informed and be able to give good answers and be able to help people understand that, hey, here with Host, you're not only going to save a lot of money on your payment processing, but we can solve this issue for you too, in terms of integrating with QuickBooks. So before the integrations, just want to talk a little bit about the three versions of QuickBooks that are out there. So you've got QuickBooks Point of Sale, QuickBooks Desktop, and QuickBooks Online. Obviously, a lot of it has gone the direction of QuickBooks Online recently, but still there are some people with QuickBooks Point of Sale and QuickBooks Desktop. So we're going to talk just a little bit about those first, and then we're going to get into the integrations and the technology that's going to make everyone's lives easier. All right. First things first, QuickBooks Point of Sale. All right, so this technology, Intuit actually discontinued support of the technology back in 2023. So it's kind of getting phased out. That doesn't mean it's absent from the market. Many of you have seen people still using this. We do have solutions where, if they feel like they can't get out of the QuickBooks Point of Sale universe, using the Verosa technology, coupled with, PAX pin pads, and you're going to want to contact your relationship manager here, of course, to make sure that you get the right devices that are going to be able to play nice with QuickBooks Point of Sale. Again, people need to start moving away from this, but, in order to get out there and win deals, sometimes you've got someone that's like, I can't deal with changing up all these different aspects of my business. For you to be able to get them up and running, you can get them up and running, and then maybe over time they can kind of phase out of QuickBooks Point of Sale and get into something that's that's more today's technology. Again, not just anything is going to play nice with it. Verosa is pretty much the solution that you're gonna need to put people on that have QuickBooks Point of Sale, and they're going to usually be PACS pin pads that are going to have to work with Verosa and QuickBooks Point of Sale in order to make that work. But again, it's a little bit tricky here, so contact your relationship manager. All right, next, QuickBooks Desktop. So again, locally installed accounting software designed for businesses that prefer robust, traditional accounting features with advanced reporting and industry-specific tools. Okay, it has different versions, different price points and all that. It's installed on a computer. Okay, so it's not cloud-based, it's installed on a computer. Your typical merchants that might be using QuickBooks Desktop would be, card present or card not present verticals like CPAs, tax firms, bookkeepers, stuff like that. Okay, so if you're going out and you're trying to get processing, trying to get the account from, someone in one of those verticals, there's a chance that they're not using online, that they're using desktop, and there are solutions for that as well. The more popular one, of course, nowadays is the cloud-based one, which is QuickBooks Online. It's cloud-based accounting platform designed for flexibility, easy use, real-time collaboration, ideal for businesses that prioritize accessibility and integrations. Okay. Again, you've got cloud access. People can access it, anytime, anywhere, from an internet-connected device. Multiple users can be collaborating, in the software at the same time, and it has a ton of integrations. It plays nicely with a lot of third-party apps. Okay, so again, probably most of the business, especially new ones, are probably going to be QBO, but we still wanted to give you kind of a brief overview of all of them, so what you might be up against when you're out in the field. All right, so QuickBooks, as most of you know, Intuit has their own payment processing, and most people know that it's fairly expensive. I pulled this directly from them yesterday, and this is kind of a schedule of what your clients or your would-be clients are looking at when they are using the baked-in QuickBooks payments, right? So you've got 2.99% for when people are, paying with cards on, invoices and stuff like that. ACH payments are 1%, in-person payments, card present payments, 2.5, and if it's keyed in transactions, which a lot of these businesses are doing, it's 3.5%. All right, so it can be very pricey, and certainly part of the reason that a lot of you are going to get a chance to talk with them is because you're going to be able to beat QuickBooks payments pretty easily, with what you're able to do by putting them with host merchant services. Okay, so, but again, just so you know what you're walking into when you've got someone that is using or you think may be using QuickBooks payments, obviously you want to know what you're up against here, and this is what you're up against. All right, so let's get into some of the technologies that are going to play nicely with QuickBooks and integrate and keep your clients' lives, easier and smoother. All right, so Verosa is the first one that we're going to talk about today. Verosa is processor agnostic. Again, it's going to be the primary solution for QuickBooks Point of Sale. We talked about that in the beginning. If someone's actually using QuickBooks Point of Sale, Verosa is going to be the direction you're going to have to go here. It doesn't only work with QuickBooks Point of Sale, but you need to know that if they're doing QuickBooks Point of Sale, it's got to be Verosa. Verosa is going to achieve, kind of two-way sync and communication between Verosa and QuickBooks, whether it's creating customers, sending invoices, getting paid, etc. They're going to talk back and forth. In this case, you've got QuickBooks and Verosa that are talking to each other, and in the background sits the payment processor. Again, Verosa is processor agnostic, and you can board people on host using Verosa. Verosa does have level 2, level 3 optimization, and Intuit doesn't offer that, and so that's a significant value add that you can make sure to bring to the table, especially if you've got someone that is using, QuickBooks payments. One thing also that Verosa highlights is that in some businesses you've got multiple QuickBooks licenses, but you just need a single Verosa license per mid, right? So if they're wondering about, am I going to have to, I've got X number of, QuickBooks licenses, am I going to have to sign up for that many Verosa licenses? The answer is no. It's going to be just one license per mid there. Some other highlights or things for you to, to mention to your clients. Verosa is not charging per transaction. You pay the one-time configuration application fee alongside, a monthly subscription. You contact your relationship manager if you want to know, what the monthly subscription rate is. I didn't have that handy here. Again, the two-way sync, we talked about that a second ago. It means the transaction information in QuickBooks is synced automatically to Verosa and vice versa, right? So what you do in once you create that link, which of course our support team will help, once you create that link, it's there, you do one thing in one place and it's going to reflect in the other. That's something that, people that don't have those technologies, it creates a lot of double work. It creates risk of making mistakes and human error, which can be a big problem. People forget to do something or they do a wrong keystroke that can create a mess. So that's one of the big value adds of having, software that's going to play nice here. It's PCI compliant. For existing customers, Verosa can migrate over the payment data. For new customers, all payment information will have to be entered by the merchant or otherwise imported by Verosa. So I had a client a couple of months ago that was using Verosa. One thing for you all to know is that in order to move him over, there was a fee in order to migrate the payment data. He didn't want to have to re-enter everything, so there was a fee for Verosa handling the payment data migration. I think it was a few $100s. Again, after the initial entry of card data, it's going to be saved to the PCI compliant vault, and it's going to be accessible, for later payments, which is to be expected, but it's good to show that. All right, the other solution that's out there, and this is honestly what we're seeing is the more popular one, the more popular choice than Verosa. A lot of people are just, at least in the merchants that we've been boarding, and a lot of you all, as you all have been boarding merchants with us, Verosa has seemed to have kind of been, we'll do it if we have to do it, but people are liking Biller Genie more. And again, this is going to work well, not with point of sale, but it's going to work with QuickBooks Online and QuickBooks Desktop. No physical equipment required. It's a good solution again for card not present merchants. Popular gateways that they're gonna connect Biller Genie, for the payments would be NMI and HMS Pay. All right, so Biller Genie did kind of go out of their way to kind of highlight some of the problems that your merchants are facing, right? So I wanted to just kind of show that to you here. I mean, we've already alluded to some of them, but I wanted to kind of give you a screenshot, or if you can take a picture of it if you want. Again, so some pain points for merchants can be if they don't have an integration solution, their duplicate entry, which wastes time and it creates a risk of error. Sometimes there's plugins that don't allow their customers to pay online. They're not able to automatically reconcile, card batches into their accounting software. They don't have a way to send invoices automatically. Their customers don't have an easy way to pay online, and their only option again was the pricey QuickBooks payments. Okay, so when you're talking with someone that's using QuickBooks, these are their pain points, which you need to be well aware of, and you need to be well aware of the solution, which probably is going to be Biller Genie in a lot of cases, as to how that's going to make their life better. So they should come over and work with you. Again, additional benefits to the merchants that they maybe didn't even realize. Okay, so when they use Biller Genie, the average client or customer or merchant rather, sees a 40% reduction actually in overdue invoices. So they're getting paid on time. They're getting paid faster, 15 days faster on average. And again, the double work, it's saving 10 to 20 hours of weekly administrative work, right? And again, we all know, time's money, and these business owners are busy doing a million things, and this is just one fewer thing for them to worry about that they don't want to deal with. Most of these businesses, of course, do not want to be dealing with reconciling things and double entry of data and information, in addition to you all saving them money on the processing. The pricing for Biller Genie, the solution that is usually chosen, I spoke with our relationship managers, and for the most part, the basic $24.95 a month plan for Biller Genie is the one that just about everyone seems to be choosing. I'll show you in a second the the higher tier option, but again, it's very rare that people have been choosing that or needing it. But again, it's going to include software integrations, electronic invoicing, branding letterhead, recurring billing, automated payments, automatic reconciliation, bulk payments, stored cards, auto pay, and optimization. A little bit more about how it works. And again, it's pretty simple stuff here, right? So, you're going to create once the connection is made. And again, the connection, I don't think I have a slide for this, but the connection is really simple. Basically, you're logged in, and then you choose which is my accounting software, right? And then you sign in your username and password, credentials, and you're synced, right? So it's pretty simple. Also, once you create that sync, it automatically imports clients and invoices and automatically synchronizes to keep everything up to date. Okay, so they make it pretty darn easy to use. Okay, and if you're going to an individual transaction, again, okay, maybe you go create an invoice in QuickBooks and click Save. Once you do that, Biller Genie will automatically send the invoice via email on the branded, with branding if that's what you chose. You and your customers can then make payments online anytime, 24/7. And once the payment is made, the invoice is closed in QuickBooks in real time, right? So they're not having to go back and make those corrections. Okay, it works as kind of you think it should, right? And they make it very simple. Again, in here I did have a slide, sorry. All right, so in here on Biller Genie, again, you're gonna select, okay, what accounting software am I using? Am I using QuickBooks? Okay, you click on that and you get logged in, and that's how you create the sync. Okay, once you are logged in, you're able to access all the different sorts of stored payment information. Apologies if this is a little fuzzy, but at the top where that red circle is, there's a stored payments method or payment methods drop down where you're able to go in there and you're able to select which payment method for, in this case, Diego Rodriguez, how's he gonna be paying. In here, you can come in, and if you want to, if you want to generate or create an invoice, this is kind of a list of the invoices and how they will kind of stack up in here. Okay, so this is where we're viewing the invoices that are out there. And then if we want to actually send the invoice, again, apologies, a little fuzzy, but the red circle is circling the button that just says to send the invoice, right? So in this case, they're going to email out an invoice for $5,700. Once that's clicked, you can see in here, this is what the email is going to look like, and it's going to have the invoice in place with the branding as you would expect. And then they pay it, right? And once they pay it, like we said, it gets reconciled automatically in the software as soon as the payment is received. And again, it works as you would expect it would work. There are some other QuickBooks integrations out there. We've talked a little bit about them. I know a lot of you have been on some of our previous webinars where we've talked about like the Deja Vu iPause Pays system. We've talked about the Valor Paytech system as well, and there are others in there too. Both Deja Vu iPause Pays and Valor Paytech, they do have QuickBooks integration options, and so those are another solution. Like if you have someone that's, you're going to put them on Deja Vu and they're going to do iPause Pays, while they're able to link in QuickBooks and they're able to sync that way too. This right here is a screenshot of what it looks like inside, Valor Paytech. Okay, so if you can see in here, there's a sale that's about to happen, and then there's a checkbox on the left-hand side that's checked that says payments sync in QuickBooks, right? So you're able to, they're able to, enter a specific invoice number, and they're able to process the payment. And when they do that, they're checking the box to click to sync in QuickBooks, and then it's going to work again the way you think it should. All right. So I told you we're probably going to wrap up a little early. I think we have. Just a couple quick reminders. I'll check for Q&A again. Remember, it's almost the end of August. The Cloud Manager software suite that a lot of you have taken advantage of and brought people for demos. We still have some time here to get people in. Let's get some people in for demos there so that we can get them signed up for the software for free. I think if we can get them in here and start setting up some meetings, even if they're not completely boarded, we should still be able to offer them the free software for life, as well as taking care of you guys, with your agent incentives. So let me stop share here. Let me see if we have any questions. All right, I don't see any questions. Well, everyone, if there's no questions, remember, you can reach out to any of us at any time. Reach out to your relationship managers if you have specific questions on how we can get your merchants linked up with QuickBooks. We're going to be happy to help you here. Hope you found this all very helpful. We're going to be doing next week just kind of an early preview. I think next week we're planning on going over your solution deck. Okay, so we talk in the beginning about how we got a ton of different solutions out there for you. We want to show you how you can get quick answers for yourself, as well as reaching out to us and your relationship managers. So again, here to help support you however we can. Thanks so much for attending today. We'll see you next week, guys. Take care.